Appendix 2. Localism, the School, and the Church. Originally, the prevailing orientation of American institutions was local, irrespective of their varying structures. Thus, most, if not all, churches, whatever their doctrinal stand and their ecclesiastical structure, were local in two important aspects. First, their primary orientation was not to the nation and its concerns or to the church at large and its problems, but to the local community and its membership there under God. The church was feudal, local in emphasis, without any loss of the sense of Christendom and with considerable gain. Second, churches having a larger ecclesiastical orientation, for example Presbyterian, had this with reference to spiritual authority. The property and material assets were locally controlled, and immediate and ultimate title rested in the local trustees, not in the regional or national unit. The effect of this system was early felt by the Roman Catholic Church in America, and the issue of, quote, lay trusteeism, end quote, arose as early as 1786 in the St. Peter's Church, New York case, and continued for many years to plague the church in various areas. The demand of Roman Catholic parishes to own their property and call their own pastors was attacked as an American or Protestant heresy or influence. In a sense, it was such an influence, but the irony of the situation was that this was in essence a development of an early medieval and Catholic heritage, a Protestant restoration of feudalism. With the Civil War, a change of radical character was instituted. In order to ensure the control of border state churches by a pro-union clergy, the U.S. Supreme Court backed the Presbyterian usurpation of local properties. Previously, presbyteries had no title to local properties. Thereafter, a legal precedent was set for various central church agencies, including a Southern Baptist Conference, to claim title to local properties. The result was a revolution in church life and structure. Another religious revolution was the change in ministerial training. Students previously studied under a distinguished clergyman scholar and then passed a stiff examination at the presbytery, classis, or conference. Gradually, schools or seminaries arose and were at first independent, but came more and more under the control of the central agency of the church. The result has been a decline in the academic caliber of pastoral training. Greek, Hebrew, and systematic theology, once the backbone of ministerial training, are increasingly absent. Most churches no longer require Greek and Hebrew, and the validity of systematics is denied. At the same time, training in methodology has taken an increasingly larger place in seminaries, so that a quote-unquote practical and managerial clergy is a result, but a spiritually sterile one. In another area, a similar development has taken place. Common schools were, until the 1830s, and in many areas long thereafter, entirely locally controlled and supported, and were Christian in character. With Horace Mann, state support and control became an educational fact and crusade. Normal schools were inaugurated to, quote-unquote, improve education and the quality of teaching. The result of teacher training has again been the rise of methodology and the decline of educational content. A simple illustration of this is to examine the change in curriculum from one century to the next, now that state control and teacher training have gained the day. From 1857 to at least 1865, the National Fifth Reader, for example, contained prose by such men as Edward Gibbon, Henry Fielding, Thomas de Quincey, Washington Irving, Thomas Chalmers, Sidney Smith, Charles Sumner, W. H. Prescott, T. B. Macaulay, David Hume, Thomas Carlyle, George Bancroft, Samuel Johnson, Henry Clay, T. G. Smollett, and many others. The poetry included Goldsmith, Pope, Bryant, Byron, Shakespeare, Shelley, Edward Young, Wordsworth, Dryden, Addison, Longfellow, Milton, Poe, and many more, for 600 pages of prose and poetry. the students were given a mature introduction to the world of literature and thought. This is less and less true today. Increasingly, moreover, the local community has been divorced from the school. In some states, this has gone further than in others, and local school boards have been abolished in favour of county boards, with power drifting towards the state board. In California, there is currently a measure to abolish local boards in favour of state-created districts, to be 108 in number, one for each of the 58 counties and 50 boards in charter cities. The move is led by Assembly Speaker Jesse M. Unruh, Democrat, and is supported by the California Manufacturers Association in the name of efficiency. It is also supported by John Gagan, business manager of Los Angeles Local 99 of the Los Angeles City and County School Employees Union. Local districts have opposed this measure, but have been warned by William A. Norris of Los Angeles, quote, that if they continue to be, quote, provincial, the solution is going to be taken out of your hands, end quote, end quote. In other words, submit, quote-unquote, voluntarily or be forced to submit. During the 1950s, consolidation of local school boards was heavily promoted and pushed to its limits. The next step now is abolition of local school boards. The neighbourhood school is itself under attack. Long an important aspect of localism and important in fostering local ties, the neighbourhood school is now called guilty of segregation. Integration plans in many areas call for the transportation of children from one area to another in order to enforce an artificial integration and to break local ties and roots. In New York City, a school official has defended this plan, stating, quote, we are not doing this primarily for integration, but for better education, because we are convinced that integrated education is better education, end quote. The immediate consequence has been a marked rise in white hostility to Negros. In various areas, white groups are taking the matter to courts with some victories. The matter will doubtless be appealed to the U.S. Supreme Court. The neighbourhood school, as far as control is concerned, has long been on the retreat, with teachers' associations, teachers' colleges, state boards and other agencies steadily diminishing the local control over the school. The attack now is thus a double one. First, against all local control, and second, against a local constituency or attendance for the school. More than integration or quote-unquote efficiency is at stake. The ability of localism to resist revolutionary changes is at issue and under attack.